Okay, ladies and gentlemen, once again we're having Poets Anarchy. My friend Crick and my friend CC are going to be part of this, and this is Jet Platt. As people that have been listening know, we begin the show with one person reading a poem, and then we discuss it. And then the person reads the poem again, and we discuss it some more. And then the next person reads his or her poem. In this case, we've got a real special situation. We got a rapper and a Harlem Renaissance speaker. And they're going to do their first poem, and we're going to discuss it, and then they're going to do it again. So it's the same thing as always, but we just have more creative individuals than sometimes. And it's going to be a pleasure, folks. And like I always say, it takes more than one monkey to run this show. So once again, this is Jed Platt, and my first poem, I'll do the poem first, which is unusual, but this is called Wesley at 16. He was a fat kid, 5 years old, without a father. Stopped his mom from smoking, telling her he didn't want to be an orphan. The coach thought he could not do it, kept at it. Now he's a sophomore in high school, letters varsity. Bench presses 250, and like John Wayne, keeps his own company. Doesn't fight except someone fucks with his mother. Puts his hands on him. Wesley keeps his own company. Takes care of it. So what do you think, Rick? Just make comments about the poem.
Oh yeah, it was pretty nice. Wesley did a pretty good thing, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, just to give you a little clue, this is my youngest son, and his mother and I separated. Well, she threw me out of the house when he was about 3 years old because of my my bad behavior, and so really I didn't raise Wesley, and that's why when he says to his mother that he wants her to stop smoking because he doesn't want to be an orphan, the fact of the matter is his father, myself, was not involved in the house. So that's pretty much the whole basis of the poem. And yeah, that's pretty much the whole basis.
So he thought smoking make him an orphan.
Yeah, by his mother smoking, that would kill her, so he'd be an orphan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a pretty profound thought for a 5-year-old kid.
Yeah, it is.
And Wesley, when I first saw him play football, he was 5 years old and roly-poly kid. They didn't think he could do anything, right?
Yeah.
And so let me read it again because CC's in here. And your CC, your microphone's right over there. You want to sit in that white chair? That'd be cool. I'm really looking forward to this show, ladies and gentlemen, because it's something that hasn't been done here at River S Radio before. And I think because you just got here, CC, I'm going to read this poem, and we'll discuss it. And then Crick will do his deal, and we'll discuss it too. And then you'll do your deal, and we'll discuss it. But most generally, I ask somebody to do the poems twice, you know, their work. And since you're an improv guy, it's going to be a little different with you. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Thank you.
You know, and gentlemen and ladies, I can't tell you how happy I am to have these gentlemen with me. So this is called Wesley at 16. He was a fat kid, 5 years old without a father. Stopped his mother from smoking, telling her he didn't want to be an orphan. And the coach thought he couldn't make it. Now he was a sophomore in high school. He letters varsity, bench presses 250. Like John Wayne, keeps his own company. Doesn't fight except somebody fucks with his mother. Puts his hands on him. Wesley keeps his own company. He takes care of it. So what do you gentlemen think?
Well, being very truthful with you, I was getting my earphones on. But what I conceived from what I've heard about it, how old did you say this gentleman was?
He's 16 now when the poem's written, but 5 years old is when he first started playing football. And this is my youngest son.
Okay.
He sounds pretty ambitious, you know, to do what he want to do in life.
There you go.
Well,
Yeah.
and at the same time, he is more adept of being very comfortably raised him, very strong, being independent. And in return, because by the time he's 5 years old, he's going to learn everything that he's going to learn as far as discipline and being able to balance things out. And it seemed like he did a pretty good job.
His mother did, and you're exactly time. You know, by 5 years old, a man knows, most men know, that things like you can't let a bully push you down. You got to stand up whether or not you're going to get your ass whipped or not. You know, you got to stand up for yourself. And people in our generation, people that are from rougher side of town know that. And Wesley realized that even though he didn't have physical gifts to be a great football star at 5 years old, he took the discipline and took the responsibility for himself to become a great football star. Yeah?
Well, you know, it's a point, you know, it brings me back to my son.
Okay.
You know, being a father. And I taught my son to be very polite with his words. Because from my standpoint, only reason that you would end up in a fight is because there is no communication. And the person that's normally the bully has a tendency to cannot express his feelings, his thoughts.
There you go.
And so in return, he turns it into aggression. But I taught my son to comprehend and then help him understand his thought, why he's in the process of trying to be aggressive.
See, go on.
You have to show two things to a bully. You know, one is fear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which he thrive on it. Some do, some don't. And the other one is strength. But it's not the strength that I can overtake you. It's the strength that I can win. I had a person once say to me that they were going to kick my behind. I'm on radio.
Okay.
And I looked at him and I said, maybe you can, but it doesn't matter because whether I win or lose, I'm right. And you know I'm right. And if you want to try to save faith among these people and jump on me, you know, I said, then you're wrong twice.
Crick, this makes sense to you? What are you saying?
Yeah, I've got the same, like, similar situation,
Okay.
but my son's mother died.
Okay.
And I was, like you, in the streets, didn't want to be right, and he was an orphan.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I can kind of relate to that poem there. But the kid didn't want to be an orphan because my son was an orphan.
And see, you're picking this exactly right. Because I wrote, like John Wayne, he keeps his own company. And he doesn't fight except somebody fucks with his mother or puts his hands on him. You know? And there's some lines we got to draw.
Right.
And you saw that exactly there. And he takes care of it himself. You know?
Right.
And if I'm hearing you correctly, you're talking about as a man, we have to, nobody can take away our dignity. We can throw it away, and nobody can give us dignity. You know? I mean, it's either we have, because we have it within us, and we develop it, or we don't.
What?
You know, a
Go ahead,
man that
Mr.
stands for nothing will fall for anything.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my deal in life is that people have asked me, how can you show respect to this gentleman who has disrespected you? And my deal is that I actually don't show respect to him. I show respect to myself.
Bingo.
And I am not going to deprive myself of my respect to disrespect him. And in return, you know, like I said earlier, it takes two to tango.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the strongest is the one that is strong within his own soul and has accepted the true responsibility of I am my brother's keeper.
Mm-hmm.
As in true retrospect, Martin Luther King was a very instigator of I am my brother's keeper. And he did pay the ultimate price for it.
Mm-hmm.
But in return, he lives forever. And he changed the world. That is no more you can ask.
I tell you what, you hit the nail on the head, and that's what I hope for my son. I hope for you. I hope for Crick. I hope for myself. But we just change it, and then you just hit the nail on the head. Our integrity and dignity is what matters. Yeah.
You know, that's all that matters.
Like the situation at work.
True that.
Yeah. You arguing with a coworker, he stole my battery. CC walked up and said, now you're going to let him steal your happiness too? But I'm like that John Wayne.
You know, but see,
Crossed the wrong line.
well, yeah, you have lines. And see, in the process of putting down lines, you have to put up a wall. And in the process of putting up a wall, you have stepped with your life, your growth, your heart. And that's why I have no lines. I have no barrier. You know, a gentleman robbed my house. And he took about $65,000 of collectibles. But the worst part, he took a Bible that was over 300 years old. And it was actually owned by the family that owned my family.
Okay.
You know. And I found out who he was. And he was stuck in the back alley. Now, I know this gentleman did it. Stuck in the snow. I went out to shovel his car out to help him, because no matter what, I am my brother's keeper. And when I was shoveling it out, he's looking at me. And I said, young blood, you don't have to worry about me. I'm not going to hit you with this shovel. I said, I know you robbed my house, but you're stuck. And I'm going to help you get out and get your car out of the bank. And he just looked at me. And he says, yeah. He said, I did break into your house, you know, and took your stuff. He said, I'm sorry. And I said, well, if you're man enough to make it to my face, then I guess I have to be man enough to say, I forgive you. And the point is, I would never get back anything that was missing. But I am not going to be raped over and over and over again with it running through my mind. It's easier for me to forgive. I ain't gonna forget, but to forgive. So it's all in his ballpark, not mine.
CC, I couldn't heard a better story. Now, I'd like to get to Crick's poem, if you don't mind. So, do it to it.
This is a little something about, we all slackers. I don't care where you go, you're going to find a slacker here or there. So I decided to make some songs about it. All the names been changed to protect the innocent, but they know, and they slackers. Quick D production. Mike, one Chuck, Archie, Mark, y'all super slacker. Through this mic, one Chuck, Archie, Mark, y'all super slacker. Through this mic, one Chuck, Archie, Mark, y'all super slacker. Through this mic, one Chuck, Archie, Mark, y'all super slacker. Is where you learn how to slack like that. And Mike, why you? What is had? You been welding on the same project ever gonna fence it. You a call prime to bring you some spinners. You a bigger slacker than Dan. The moves that you got, Einstein to say, damn. Is it live? Is it Memorex? Is it Mike? No, this slacker got a hologram. Super welder, I'ma call you super slacker. What up, Mark? You been welding on the same project so long. I thought you and Archers over there trying to fill the art. It's been 40 days and 40 days. One small project, but you planted 79 ways. You good, but you really laid back. I guess Jim and Jeff taught you how to slack. Through this mic, one Chuck, Archie, Mark, y'all super slacker. Through this mic, one Chuck, Archie, Mark, y'all super slacker. Through this mic, one Chuck, Archie, Mark, y'all super slacker. Through this mic, one Chuck, Archie, Mark, y'all super slacker. It ain't over, no, I just begun. I did forget about the slacker Chuck and one. You open the door, 30 minutes to unload the truck. Man, it's cold in here. What the it's winter time. You see that snow? You didn't know, I think it's below zero. What up, Chuck? What up, bro? Could you slackers hurry up and close it? Go! I obey the law of inverse excuses which demand the greater the task to be done, the more insufficient the work must be done prior to beginning the great task. I know the work cycle is not planned, start and finish, but it's wait, plan, and plan. I would never put off tomorrow what I could forget about forever. Little something I wrote for myself, the next song. Like, no, I'm a slacker. Boy, look at that slacker. Boy, look at that slacker. Boy, look at that slacker. He lay back. Boy, look at that slacker. Boy, look at that slacker. Boy, look at that slacker. He lay back when I walk in the break room. Tell me what I see. Why these other slackers all staring at me? Ain't gonna work and you know it.
Jimmy Jeff and I'm going.
Quick D, I'm slacking and you know it. I'm slacking and you know it. Boy, look at that slacker. Boy, look at that slacker. I've been working on the same old thing for days. I don't care what you say, cause I know I'm lazy, huh? Why should I work? Why should I do anything? Can't afford to go to the Y, so I come around this place to hang, yeah. Boy, look at that slacker. Boy, look at that slacker. Boy, look at that slacker. He's laid back. Boy, look at that slacker. Boy, look at that slacker. Boy, look at that slacker. He's laid back when I walk in the break room. Tell me what I see. Why these other slackers all staring at me? Ain't gonna work and you know it.
Jimmy Jeff and I'm going.
I'm slacking and you know it.
Keep going. This is really good.
Slackers coming up. It's a lot of people walking around with nothing to do. Like Robert Connor, Jim and Jeff, you guys are slackers too. Rob Connors, where you learn how to slack like that? Jim and Jeff, where you learn how to slack like that? It's a lot of people walking around with nothing to do. Like Robert Connor, Jim and Jeff, you guys are slackers too. Rob Connors, where you learn how to slack like that? Jim and Jeff, where you learn how to slack like that? Jim and Jeff, what's your job? I guess to be a slacker, like Andy and Bob. I see you all day long, as many times 103, play the same old song. You all over the shop, north and south. What's like a Jeff, you know what I'm talking about. Jimmy Jeff, yeah, I know where they at. Outside on the side, slacking, smoking cigarettes. It's a lot of people walking around with nothing to do. Like Robert Gunner, Jimmy Jeff, you guys are slackers too. Rob Gunners, where you learn how to slack like that? Jimmy Jeff, where you learn how to slack like that? It's a lot of people walking around with nothing to do. Like Robert Gunner, Jimmy Jeff, you guys are slackers too. Rob Gunners, where you learn how to slack like that? Jimmy Jeff, where you learn how to slack like that? Man, I really need a miracle, cause my back surely hurts. Here come a group of guys with slackers on their shirt. I'ma ask these guys for help when they approach. I say, Mister, Jim, Jeff, Andy, Robert Connor, Bob, George, they all scattered like somebody turned the light on the ghost. A lot of people walking around with nothing to do. Like Robert Gunner, Jimmy Jeff, you guys are slackers too. Rob Gunners, where you learn how to slack like that? Jimmy Jeff, where you learn how to slack like that? It's a lot of people walking around with nothing to do. Like Robert Gunner, Jimmy Jeff, you guys are slackers too. Rob Gunners, where you learn how to slack like that? Jimmy Jeff, where you learn how to slack like that? Travis Jeff, GW, you so young and already a slacker too. I'm standing waiting on my snacks, son. Run to the truck, get the bucket with the 100 buns. What up with your boys? Okay, find nothing to do. Dead slacker sitting around watching you. The machine's empty, Travis, and we wanna eat. Off your beat band, on your feet. Mic in the mill, Mark, you be treated by a little sweet thing. Can't remember her first name, so for now I'm gonna call her Slacker Chain. Sitting up there, what part did you miss? 732, like the counter, gives a damn list. Slacker, slacking all the time. Sandy Keith, boy, oh, yeah, beat, slacking all the time. And why you see us every week and make us wait in that damn line? The show's supposed to start at 8, just like ordained, just we get them late. I'm on stage, I'm posted on the day. So what the heck, Sandy, you need a sound check. Then you know, about 6 days ago, Tuesday night, Miramar was the open mic show. Slacking all the time. Sandy Keith, boy, all day, beat, slacking all the time. Saying why you see us every week and make us wait in that damn line. It's 2 weeks later, I'm waiting on you to post the pictures of the show you took. It's 2012, I know that camera must be sick with Facebook. I even bet at the end of the set, you was already logged on to the internet. I'm slacking all the time. Sandy Keith, boy, all day, beat, slacking all the time. Change why you see us every week and make us wait in that damn line.
Crick, that's so good and so real, man. You know, this takes me back to my old days and hanging out with the boys in the back alley, drinking tiny port. We talked about that a while ago, Steve. And we all be slackers. But then the frustration with the poetry and looking out on that stage, from that stage, and seeing people not be paying attention or getting up and leaving during the middle of the thing.
Yeah.
You know? And, yeah, but the fact you have to be a slacker. I mean, we're all slackers.
The whole country is slackers.
Yep, yep. But the difference is you from a lot of folk, Crick, is that you cop to it, man.
Yeah.
You cop to it.
I even got the shirt on, slacker.
Yeah. I didn't notice that, but you sure do. What do you think, CC?
Well, as far as the United States, I could basically talk about. Yeah, we are slackers, unfortunately. And hopefully they would wake up before it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, China just bought a bunch of land here. And nothing against China. Hey, the land was there for sale. But if they turn it into an embassy, they can slack on our own land. So, but workspace, when it comes to work nowadays, the people are not slacking. They're really not. They make enough money just to come to work, and any work they do is French benefit to the company, because the company just basically pay them to come. That's why it's a job, just so we're broke. So you're not slacking. Maybe they're in the metric system. Look like they're moving in slow motion at super speed, but no.
No, I disagree with you, CC. I spent 2.5 years without a car, going to work on the bus in the middle of winter. It took an hour and a half, and there were a lot of other folks just like me, spending $5 or $4.50, whatever the hell we were spending, to get to work for minimum wage, stand out in the fucking cold. Now I see a lot of people working really hard. Now that's what I see. And now there's a lot of folks that, they at 14 start slinging cocaine and start making, $1,000 a week or something, But then they're doing end up doing life on the installment plan. And we all see that, But the vast majority of the working people are really working, man. Yeah. And invariably they get kicked in the shins, and life's more miserable, So, but then again in work, it's funny how everybody be pointing at each other,
Yeah.
He be a slacker, and pretending like they ain't slackers.
Them the
Come
real
on.
slackers.
Yeah, we're all slackers, man. We're gonna do what we can get away with. Shit, that's reality. But we show up and suit up and do it. And that's my opinion.
Well, it's like I say, they pay you to show up to work.
Yeah.
And anything they receive after that is French benefit. They're making a profit. Because they give you enough money to hook you and hold you. Not for you to get on your feet. Not for you to truthfully live comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Just so that you're hooked. Most companies around here are like cocaine dealers. You do temporary service. So you don't have to pay the taxes.
Yep.
You don't have to pay anything. And if you don't like them, all you got to do is dismiss them.
I can't disagree with you there, CC. I've worked those slave labor things,
Yeah.
And folks earn maybe $60, $70 a day, buy themselves a pack of cigarettes, 2 rocks, and a 4-pack of 211. And they're there the next day just begging to be slaves again.
Yeah.
But it's up to me to get myself out of that, And it takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of things to be pushing us down, brother.
I don't think them temp servers, they ain't slacker, them pimps.
There are exactly.
You go work for me. Them pimps, that's legalized pimping.
Yeah. Because these slave labor guys,
Well,
they get paid $15 an hour when they're paying us $7.50.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when you get hired, the company gonna pimp you because they just gonna give you another 50 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Slackers.
But it's up to us just to pull ourselves up.
Yeah.
And that's why I think this poetry is one thing that frees us. It's like we were talking about earlier, CC. It's something that the dignity I had when I do poetry, perform poetry, listen to poetry, it frees my soul, and that's kind of what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it pulls together a bondness
yeah,
where you can
exactly.
bond with someone. That's communication. And truthfully, our government don't want us to bond
Hmm.
because that's unity, you know. And so they pit us against each other. Because as long as they can pit us against each other and keep us
Hmm.
from bonding as who we're supposed to be, they can keep their hands in our pockets. And plus, control which direction they want us to go. And it's not a conspiracy,
Hmm.
you know, it's a business. You know.
It is business, and yeah. So we got two choices, CC. We can have Crick do it again, but since we only got like 10 minutes, I'd really rather have you do your deal. And you feel like we heard you, what you were saying, man?
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm
Okay,
glad,
hope so.
especially the last part, I just couldn't help. I was grinning from ear to ear. You saw that, man.
Yeah, I make slacker for fun and entertainment purposes. Like you said, I get away through my music.
Hmm. And I love Sandy. I love the Miramar, but you painted the picture so clear.
True but funny.
Yeah, and Sandy will cop to it too. So baby, it's showtime.
Well, I don't know which direction to go. Um, since you're talking poetry, I can try to do poetry.
Do it.
And I'll talk about the life that we live within our soul as we try to make it up the hill. We don't understand why things go wrong because we don't take the time to look at home. We can blame it on this person. We can blame it on that. We can blame it on our upraising, and that's a fact. But the only person that you can blame it on is yourself because you let them beat you down to nowhere else. Yes, it's hard to get back up and walk on your feet, especially since you've been placed in the center of the street. They might hook you with drugs, money, fame. They can hook you with almost anything. But in reality, you're not a fish. You are who you're supposed to be, but you don't take the time to see. You have many times you stop to look within and feel your own soul, not the other man's. And study who you are and where you came, because that's the beginning of this game. Once you get that self within, there's nothing out there that can stop you then. They can stop you at the cigarette and call it your friend. They can give you less pay, but in the end, it's you that counts. You're the one that see, as long as you're not lying to thee. You control your road and turn it which direction you want. Use your mind is what God gave it for. And I don't care if you own drugs. It don't make no difference. If you get control of your mind, you'll lose infinity. So I can say from within my heart that I've enjoyed tonight, and I'm glad I was a part. Mr. Crick with your slacker, which I do love so well. I thank you for bringing me within to this world, within to this realm. Because if you hadn't invited me into your heart, I would have took a different road. I would have missed this part. So I thank you very much, and I look forward to performing with you and your songs. And I thank you for what you have given, not only to Crete, but to our Almighty Heaven. Because you bring different people in on different nights, different thoughts. Most are bright. You yourself, in your own way, has changed this world, not just from this day. Because everybody that you have touched, you've changed that person's direction and sparked the universe. So keep giving your soul on these radio spots, bringing the people to turn it out. And in return, will you enjoy your life? And I must leave now, or I'll repeat my words twice.
That's perfect, man.
You see,
You're welcome. And that's to anyone out there that can understand. Look in yourself, become that woman or that man. Amen.
Damn. Brought tears to my eyes, CC.
it's pretty deep. It's pretty deep.
Yeah, man.
That's a side of CC I never seen before. It's pretty deep, though.
Well, I thank you, and I thank you for taking the time to see it. You'd be surprised how many people that cross my path has run along the road that I run, has never took the time to see who I am. I only seen who they thought I was, or who they wanted me to be.
Mm-hmm.
But they wouldn't take the time to really, truthfully enjoy me. But you did. Thank you.
We met on the fluke, but it was a good fluke. And then we met him on the fluke, even a better fluke. Thank you, sir.
Well, how'd you all meet?
We worked together, and he stole my spotlight. I'm gonna tell the truth. Now I used to walk around talking to all the guys, talking stuff, and CC came in and took it over. But it's his time. I had my run, so now it's his run. Then we're gonna run together. But we met at work. And my motto at my job is, some people do walk around here, but I'm not talking about myself.
Where, in actual reality, he is one of the hardest working men that I have seen. But he thinks he's a slacker because he works, he enjoys what he does, and he just breezes through it. If I could classify him in his work as anything that would be comparable, I would have to go with Muhammad Ali. He floats like a butterfly and stings like a bee. And the material that he moves is there. Then you don't see. You do that.
That's like the ultimate compliment, man.
Thank you, sir.
That is, Muhammad Ali, and has been for years and years, been the one best known person in the world, And everybody knows who Muhammad Ali is. And I bet you remember CC, same as I do, when he was Cassius Clay coming on Johnny Cash.
Well,
On Johnny Carson saying that he was going to knock out Sonny Liston.
Yeah, I remember when he came to my hometown of Aurora, Illinois.
Okay.
And shook my hand. And his hand was so big, and when he put it on top of my head to pat my head, because I was a kid.
Yeah.
It just covered my whole head. Oh. But the one thing he did have about him, and that sparked me when I was a kid, he was his own man. He just overflowed. It was just like he was standing in God's grace. To be so big but yet so gentle. To be so big but yet so open.
Exactly.
And the only one person I met that was better, just as good as him, was Horse Cartwright. That played Horse Cartwright.
Oscar, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, and you talked about it, and we all have people, as men, we all develop people who are heroes and people we aspire to be like, and I think that's might be how we'll end this damn thing. Because we're all men, and like the three men that I aspire to be are Shaft, Steve McQueen, and Edward James Olmos. But Shaft and Steve McQueen and Edward James Olmos are people that I aspire to be.
Wow.
Yeah. How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm with Ali. I'm from the Ali era. I might don't look it, but I am.
All right.
Yeah, I remember he was a portrait. Thought he was so pretty.
Yeah?
Yeah. But I really ain't too much have idols as a kid.
Oh, didn't you?
Not from where I'm from. It wasn't, I didn't foresee, I didn't really look up to nobody.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wanted to be a police, though, I know that. But it just didn't work out that way when I got grown.
Okay. Yeah, I would, yeah. There's something about Ali that you're talking about, CC, that just transcends, and just transcends, any differences we may have, Yeah. And to see him today as still a man of dignity, with all his disease and all his Parkinson's, all that, he's still got such dignity.
Well, he is in all regards a true man.
Mm-hmm.
And if we had been back in the day, he would have been a seizure.
Mm-hmm.
So I love him dearly. I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from Horse Cartwright.
Okay.
To be so big, to be so gentle, and to be so understanding and patience. And only if it happens, then you have to do it to get them off here, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up, when I was 16, no, 1964, I was in Vietnam. And that's where I got my growing up. But it gave me an opportunity to travel the world.
Sure.
But it showed me man and humane treatment to man. And you take what you learn and bestow it into your soul, and you work it out to be who you're supposed to be. But yeah.
Exactly. I think, this has gone from poetry is anarchy to the first time really we do have some philosophy going on in here, and some different points of view. And I'm feeling like all three of us men are respecting each other and our point of views, and have completely different styles of poetry. But I'm excited by yours, CC. And how I feel about yours, Chris. I liked you from the beginning. So I think this has worked out really well. And gentlemen, it's 5 till, and Julie's usually here by now, so I'm surprised she's not. But this is when we end. Do you want to say a couple words of wisdom, CC, before we end?
Well, I want to say that if you're listening and if you have enjoyed it, please take the time to send a message to the gentleman that give you this show and tell your friends, because without him, I wouldn't have had the pleasure of meeting you. And that has changed my life again. You have placed me in another different direction. Oh, and I'm talking about the people on the air that I don't see. They have become a part of me. They don't know it. They might not show it. But I guarantee you, you'll never forget it.
CC, the man I introduced you to, Xavier LaPlay, the man that owns the store, he's the mover and shaker behind this thing. And I'm glad you got to meet him. Did you get to meet him, Craig?
No, I think I'm not ready.
Okay, I'll introduce you.
All right.
But it's his dream, his baby. And that's why I really wanted you to meet him. And we'll go back and talk to him again. How about you, Craig? What'd you get out of this?
It was a nice experience, something I ain't did before. I'm glad we ran across you at the Miramar.
Me too.
Thanks to the people that's listening, the guy that made this all possible. It's a really life-changing experience for me. It made me want to go on. It's like this is my first time ever doing it, so I'm kind of like, I don't know how I got mic shot, but I did. But I'd be all right. You know, you coached me through it. You and CC helped me out. Thank everybody for listening.
The fact is, we're all scared to death. And courage is not being afraid. Courage is doing it in spite of being afraid. And I'm scared all the fucking time. But I just keep doing it. Yeah?
Well,
Don't not be the failure, but to try. That's what I say about that.
You know it.
I hope I get the opportunity to work with Mr. Creek on some productions. So I'm pretty sure in the future it will be KNC.
Makes sense. Well, gentlemen, I don't know where Julie is, but it's time for us to say it takes more than one monkey to run this show, and this is about as good as it gets, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
for songwriters and composers. We are broadcasting from the River West Film and Video headquarters on Center Street in the heart of beautiful downtown River West. My name is Julie Brandenburg. I'm the producer of Compose Yourself, this show. The things you will hear over the next 2 hours represents the views of me, Julie Brandenburg, and the people in my panel, who I will introduce momentarily. All opinions and quotations in no way represent River West Radio and are the sole responsibility of the producer, guests, and callers. River West Radio is not liable for any legal issues arising from the content of this program. Each week, I will have a panel of songwriters, composers, students, and listeners here to share songs and discuss the craft of songwriting and composing. With me today in the studio is Jacob Mushin, bass player for the Freddie Lee Band, Spencer Powers, who is the drummer for Shroud of Despondency, and Emily Zimmer, guitarist for the Freddie Lee Band. Joining us today is filmmaker Jamie Sod, who will discuss his film about local music shortly in the show. But first, let's get started by listening to some music, as we always do. So, guys, finally, after 3 months, I went and did it. I got the new Meshuggah album. Why did anyone not make sure I got it sooner? It's so good. I love it. I love it. I should have got it sooner.
There were people who told you to get it sooner.
Okay. He's right, there were.
I don't know, Julie. From my circle of friends, I've only ever heard not very good things about Meshuggah, so
This newest album was actually pretty impressive. I have to agree with Julie. I just listened to it for the first time a few days ago and again today, and it's pretty well done. It's very...
Well, Jacob, you know I like the heavy stuff. Is there anything that would really appeal to me, or?
Yeah, it was very heavy. I mean, it was way more traditional metal sounding, but it was a little bit more progressive than straight up math metal like they were in the earlier days.
I would say I appreciate the technical skill, but
and
some of their stuff is a little amelodic for my tastes.
You'd really like the drumming on it, Spencer. That guy can really, really do some stuff with his feet. It's pretty impressive.
Nice. Yeah, if it grips, it rips, man. I'd probably be a fan then. I'll check it out.
Check it out. You know, their previous album, Obsidian, was really, really, really good, and I saw them at the Rave for their tour for that album, and I was blown away by that. I actually think I like this newest one even better. So, have you heard it, Emily?
I know absolutely nothing about Meshuggah, and I've never heard anything by them in my life.
Oh, my goodness gracious. We will just have to get you to listen to it. Well,
but not here.
Not here, because here we play only original music, and that's a wonderful thing. So instead of playing that, we're going to play one of our favorite Milwaukee heavy, heavy bands, Face of Ruin. So we're going to listen to a track called In the Depths.
You're
You're listening to RiverWestRadio.com, and we just listened to a track from Face of Ruin called In the Depths. If you want to check out their music, they are on Reverb Nation, I believe Bandcamp as well, and their album is for sale. They have two recordings that are available. This one is off their newer recording. I love it.
That was very spastic.
I feel like I just ran a marathon.
Yeah, so did the drummer after that take was over.
Yeah, Chris Bissell is the most talented drummer I've ever had the pleasure of meeting, and as well as John Leakey is the most talented guitarist I've ever met, and they are both in this amazing band.
Yeah, they sure are.
Yeah, that was, it's interesting hearing music like that because it sounds like death metal with the growling and all, but it's really progressive. I mean, the song started off in 4, and then it went to 7 for a while, and then it was switching between 7 and 6 for a while, and then, I mean, just complete, it was really hard to follow. There was a lot of time signature changing, and it was actually, it was pretty dissonant overall. I mean, they were playing really interesting intervals for harmonies.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about them is they don't seem to be afraid to do things that are outside the box of what they're supposed to be doing. They break the rules. They have beautiful melodic guitar lines. What? That's not supposed to happen in this kind of music, but they do it.
Yeah, I know the main songwriter, Shane, he is the other guitarist besides John Lidke. He is very methodical about his way of writing. He has a definite view of what he wants, and then he maps the entire thing out on I forget which computer program. But basically every single member of the band, rhythm section included, is presented with a primarily finished part before they know the song, and then they, have something to work on before the first rehearsal and helps things move along a little bit, but that is just very hard to have that full picture in mind ahead of time and map it out for everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I find it interesting, just the fan base of that kind of music. They're so loyal, and you wouldn't think there'd be even that big of an audience for that type of kind of outside music. But I was briefly in a kind of a heavier metal band, and it's just like a family and a big community. Everybody knows each other, and it's kind of a cool scene.
Yeah, like the whole Borg Ward scene for a while there. People were showing up. I liked that scene. I don't know why I haven't felt like I've seen a show going on there for a while. But what I liked about that scene is it was not a music club. There were no pool tables. As Peter just pointed out in the film we'll talk about later. It's no booze, no nothing. It's just music. You walk in there, you look at some art, and you listen to some music. And it was really neat the way people were very focused about that. Does anybody know if the Borg Ward is doing any?
They're still doing shows, yeah. I just saw John Lidke do a experimental noise project with his 2 synthesizers and his theremin, and he was the opening act for a whole slew of metal bands playing a metal show there last Friday.
Oh, why didn't we go to that?
Yeah, I missed it as well.
Did we have? I think we were out of town, weren't we, in Door County?
Yeah, well, we were in
that would explain why.
There you go.
Because something like that would have made it on my calendar, but I think the Freddie Lee band, which 3 of us are in, was out of town at that point. But yeah, I love the melodic shape of some of those guitar lines, and he doesn't do the formulaic. Okay, we'll have one guy play it. Okay, now both of them will play it in thirds. I mean, he really mixes it up. So I really like that compositionally. And right in the middle, he throws something completely different into the situation with those electronics.
Yeah, it's the whole band, like, it's just a bunch of guys who have been so dedicated to metal for so many years. It's really the culmination of some of Milwaukee's best talent throwing down their chops for everyone to observe, and I think that's really awesome of them.
Yep. So, any other comments? Well, I think it's time for us to move on to our next segment, known as Shameless Self Promotion. Oh, that was sweet, Spencer. He has really been working on this, I'm telling you. I think his tone and just the whole, approach, articulation.
I'll practice till I can't even spit.
Expert technique.
So I'm going to play something of mine today because I want to unveil, and I'm very excited about this. I'm finally getting this band together that I've been wanting to get together for a while, and we have decided upon a name, and that name is Enchased. What do you think? Enchased. It is an adjective that means decorated or ornamented by inlaying or engraving, especially with gems. A synonym would be bejeweled, hence the slight suggestion of the reference to Julie B. What do you think? Emily, what do you think?
Pretty clever.
Yeah?
Pretty deep. I always like names or anything that has a true reference to it. I always find that holds a lot more water than just pulling something out of thin air.
Yeah.
Pulling a name out of thin air.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I concur.
Yay. All right, that's 3 votes for yes. Jacob?
I'm in the band, so of course I like it.
I found it just because I was just searching for interesting looking words. And when I read the meaning, I thought, well, that just is kind of cool. I mean, to encrust something with gems or to engrave it and beautify it, that kind of is what we're trying to sort of do when we make art of all kinds, including music. So, and then I thought that, wait, bejeweled. Aha. So that's the name we're going to go with. And I am excited to unveil the members who are finally solidified. It will be Jacob playing the bass. And it will be Paul Newland, who is on this recording as the drummer, we've talked about him before. He's very, very solid. He also plays with the Heroes Lie. He will be playing drums. And we have Angie Schmidt, who is the electric cellist in Far Corner, her husband's band, but she is happy to continue to play with me. She's also on this recording. And then we have Steve White, who plays with the Freddie Lee Band, and very thrilled once again that he has said he does, in fact, have the time. I know he's a very busy man, but I'm thrilled. So, and then on top of all that, we have electric violin. We've got Klavs Mednes, who's going to be playing electric violin. So I am totally excited. We're going to start rehearsals later this month. So that's why I chose to be self-indulgent and play for you the feeder. And while I'm getting that set up, because I just pushed the wrong button, I would mention that this is the short version of this song without the big, long electronic introduction. But you can hear the long version on my SoundCloud page, where some of the programs from our previous Compose Yourself installments are also housed. But after today, I will only keep one episode up at a time, because beginning today, Compose Yourself is going to be podcast pretty much live. So you can listen to this show on Thursdays as well as Wednesdays. Thursdays in the afternoon, it will be rebroadcast, I believe, at noon. And then the podcast will be available very quickly on the riverwestradio.com website. So this is all exciting news. Here is the feeder. The Feeder on riverwestradio.com by a new band called Enchased. So be looking for that band. And we have listened to this song before, so we don't have to say too much, but you guys like it?
Very ominous.
Very much so.
I like the rock edge to it. Is that normally the style that you
Yeah.
usually do? That's cool. It almost had like a progressive.
Yeah, that's what it really sounds like. Most of the songs are pretty progressive rock.
I would even say like I hate to name drop, but Tool a little bit. That the verses.
Well, that's a pretty good name drop when you're talking about progressive music.
Yeah,
I am
right.
not offended.
and I feel like when it came out of the chorus, it sounded a little Black Sabbath-esque to me.
Huh.
There's a lot of different things going on there, like when the riff turns around and the guitar gets really low and like do 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 do, and totally sounds like the beginning of like a Black Sabbath riff, like.
Well, it is really heavy. I mean, it does have kind of a metal sound to it.
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
not the same kind of metal as like the Face of Ruin, and that's progressive in its own right.
Was it like I don't have the best ear for this sort of thing? Was that sort of like some minor tonality going on?
Definitely.
Okay, because I know that
Definitely.
has more of a darker, borderline evil sound to it and stuff like that.
A lot of it is that there's a few different time signatures too, so it just kind of throws you off every so often. It does the same riff like 5 or 6 times in a row, and then all of a sudden it does that, and then an extra 3 beats or something, and then it switches into a different part. So.
Yeah.
Where was that recorded, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't mind you asking. The drums were recorded at my friend Shane's studio, and that studio is called Bobby Peru Recording. He's an awesome dude and has an awesome setup. And then I took those tracks home and recorded the rest of the tracks in my home recording studio. And I used Pro Tools for this project. I had always been a digital performer person. So there was much swearing and tearing of hair that took place when trying to learn to use Pro Tools, but I think I have it now. And that's kind of how I plan to continue to work. Shane is a really great engineer, and I really enjoy working with him. He also gave me some engineering lessons. I also took some lessons from him. Very good teacher if you're looking for that sort of thing.
I'm actually trying to build my own home recording setup right now. I've kind of got most of the basics. I've been using a PreSonus interface, I guess, and that comes with some free software called Studio One, so I've just been trying to get used to that.
I see. Yeah, you were talking before about how Shane from Face of Ruin, different Shane, how he works. I actually do the same thing. I pretty much score out everything. The only thing I don't score out is the drums. And I usually kind of just tell the drummer, I'm looking for you to follow this pocket, or I'm looking for you to, I want toms here, I want something heavy here, and I just kind of describe, but I don't play drums. So of all the instruments, I feel the least literate about the drums.
Yeah, it's always nice to have a lot of room open for artistic interpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So usually I work with someone like Paulie, who was on this recording. Now, his brother Chris is the guitar player on this recording. Chris is a fantastic jazz artist and also plays with the Heroes Lie and wanted very much to continue with this project, but he is in school full time. So that is a big factor here for him. So thank you for listening to that. Any other thoughts? No? So we should move on to our quiz questions for the week. All right. Here is our quiz for our panel for the week. So last week, we're going to start going back now to just going back 1 week, since we're going to be rebroadcasting and podcasting immediately. There's no need to delay 2 weeks, so we're going to right away talk about last week's question. Here is the question. A love supreme is a prayer inspired by one man's dedication to his faith after overcoming addiction. Who was the saxophonist? Jacob, you want to answer?
I was just listening to A Love Supreme the other day. It was the brilliant John Coltrane.
Yes, that is correct, Jamie. Our guest is 1 for 1. Yay! Woo! What's really neat about that piece I'm sure you've noticed when you were listening to the line, and once again, we can't play anything that isn't original on the show, but we can kind of talk about it a little bit. You know, the line that bum 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 bum. It's actually, the rhythm of that is based on a love supreme, a love supreme. I just think that's just so cool.
That sounds like part of the off-Broadway, like, riff or maybe bass line or whatever, and it's like
Oh, yeah.
I'll see something else.
Yeah. On Broadway.
That's what struck me right when you started humming that.
Was I singing it
I don't know Love
correctly,
Supreme.
Jacob?
It's pretty close.
Pretty close.
I've never heard this Coltrane tune, so I don't know.
Well, I recommend to our listeners that you definitely get on iTunes and download it now, and it's awesome. It is a monumental work. How long is it? Do you remember, Jamie?
Just that one song?
Yes.
I believe it was 8 or 9 minutes. I'm not quite sure.
I think I've heard versions that were even like into the almost 20-minute range.
Oh, yeah. I just have like a special edition, so it has some really long songs on there, definitely.
Cool. It's a great piece of music, so let's move on with our quiz. So here are 2 new quiz questions for our panel today. Now, last week we did all jazz stuff, much to the dismay of my friend Lori, who is not a big fan of the style, but she soldiered on through it. Today's quiz questions are all classical music. So,
This is the Stump Jacob week.
because otherwise he always gets the right answer. So, yes, this is Stump Jacob week. So, what musical event caused a riot when it premiered in Paris in May of 1913? Was it A, a song with bawdy lyrics at a salon in Paris? B, a symphony of atonal music? C, an opera that was badly sung? Or D, a scandalous ballet performance? Emily, you want to go first?
Sure. Well, Paris is pretty bawdy and scandalous. So I'm going to go with B, a symphony of atonal music.
All right. And this is an educated guess because she has actually been to Paris. Emily has actually been there. That's so cool. Was it scandalous? Was it scandalous?
Sure.
I have no idea, so I'm just going to, for the sake of being different, say C, an opera that was badly sung.
All right. Spencer?
I actually feel like I can recall this question from the music appreciation class I had a full year ago. I believe it is D, a scandalous performance, or ballet performance, because, and I want to say I know the composer, but it escapes me. Tip of the tongue, but I think it is that.
All right. Jacob?
Well, no point in starting being a conformist now. I'm going to go with A because they guessed all the other ones already.
So you say that it's a song with bawdy lyrics. All right. Well, yes, Paris is bawdy, so it would probably be more acceptable for bawdy lyrics to be sung in a salon rather than perhaps a concert hall, so it's not A. B, a symphony of atonal music. Now, at that time, Schoenberg was beginning to present his 12-tone music, and that was rather the intellectual, scholarly set was okay with that, but regular people are like, what? This doesn't sound good. Why are we listening to this? And I could probably go on for about 20 minutes about why you might want to listen to it. Just suffice to say that it's interesting in its own right for how it's constructed, and if you try really hard, you can actually hear the patterns in it. It's challenging to deal with. It's not something I'd put on at a party. C, an opera that was badly sung. I can imagine that would be unacceptable in a cosmopolitan cultural city like Paris, but that's not in fact what happened, because you are right. Spencer is correct. D, a scandalous ballet performance called The Rite of Spring. Does that kind of jar your memory?
Is that Vivaldi?
No, that's the Four Seasons, which was in the Baroque era. So that was kind of a long time ago, but good guess. Give you a hint. His first name is Igor.
Stravinsky.
Yes.
I thought,
Good job, man.
the name Tchaikovsky came into mind when I was looking at this. I thought it might have been a Russian.
Yes.
Ruskies.
Here's why it was a scandal. You're thinking, ballet? Scandal? What? This is, girls in tutus on their toes. How could that be a horrible thing?
Exactly.
But what it actually was, there were a couple elements of it that was scandalous. First of all, Stravinsky began writing in a style that was new. He was very rhythmic oriented, so a lot of people who like heavy music, like myself, really like Stravinsky because it's all bum, 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 bum. And he would put accents in funny places. That was like his big deal. It's like everybody's going at the same time, bum, 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 bum. That's not where you expect the accent to be. And the accents in a lot of this repetitious music was what gave it its shape. And it was a new way of looking at music. It was a completely new way. So that was very jarring to the audience. And then the costumes were really odd because the theme of it was these pagan Russian, these Russian pagans doing these pagan rituals, and that was just considered just horrifying and scandalous. And the method, the means of dancing, I should say the mode of dancing, was considered vulgar. Not necessarily sexually vulgar, but just not pretty motions. You go to a ballet to see pretty girls on their pretty, tutus and their pretty little toes, and that is not what was happening. So by the middle of the performance, and the problem was there were some people who were open-minded and liked it. So the real part of the riot came in where people started audibly arguing about the ballet as it was going on. So as the ballet progressed, the audience's discomfort also progressed. Those in favor of the work began to argue with those in opposition, and they eventually turned into brawls, and the police were notified and hauled in. They arrived at intermission and successfully calmed the angry crowd. As the second half commenced, police were unable to keep the audience under control, and rioting resumed. Stravinsky was so taken aback by the audience's reaction, he fled the scene before the show was over. So, all this over a ballet. That's not what you would have expected. So,
That's great.
The other thing too was the dissonance. You were asking me before about what the Face of Ruin, what some of the harmonies were in there, and you asked if they were minor, and I said yes. And part of it too is Face of Ruin, and a lot of other bands that are trying to find a sound that's more jarring will use tones and notes that clash with each other on purpose and in a very purposeful way. So if you listen to some of the harmonies in those chords, they're adding onto those chords notes that are very dissonant to the root often. And so it gives you a more like kind of feel to it.
In the case of Face of Ruin and the song of hers she played, it is primarily minor, but there's a lot of chromaticism in it, so then you can end up playing a note that's major, a note that's minor, or even something that doesn't fit into either.
So what is chromaticism for the audience?
Chromaticism is playing a series of notes with in a row, but just a half step apart.
Ah, so bum 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 ba da 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 da. Those are half steps, and when they're played next to each other, and when there's lots of them played next to each other, it gives a very jarring, kind of disconcerting sound.
The best example I can think of that is when Jason Becker, the once amazing, brilliant shred virtuoso guitarist, used to play Paganini's Fifth Caprice on guitar, and it's like 2 minutes of the most intense, shredded out chromaticism you've ever heard in your life. Wow. I recommend anyone who likes shred guitar, check out Jason Becker Rips on YouTube, and it'll be Paganini's Fifth Caprice.
Cool.
Or there was some Paul Gilbert did a few videos of classical music where he took something that was not written for guitar and then played it on guitar, and there's a lot of classical chromaticism in there too.
Yeah, he plays a lot of Bach tunes. One of my favorite classical shredders.
And Haydn, he played one of my favorite Haydn pieces on the guitar. It was pretty cool.
I think you played that one for me. Yeah, that was neat.
Also, the foundation for any heavy music, in my opinion, is the what was known as the Diabolus in Musica, the interval of the devil, the flat five, which is, of course, the fundamental heavy metal note.
Absolutely, yes. We have praised the glory of the tritone in this panel discussion before. It is the bread and butter note, or interval, I should say, of anyone trying to invoke evil.
Well, but just keep to tritones and not quarter tones.
Right. Quarter tones are the notes in between notes. So, let us continue. Which one? I've got to put on my serious professor voice. Now, I'm looking over my glasses intently at the four of them. Which one of these operas was written by Beethoven? A. Fidelio. B. Madame Butterfly. C. The Marriage of Figaro. And D. Turandot. Jacob?
Again, I am completely clueless, as I am...
He's got the clueless face on too, folks.
And I've got the triumphant face on.
And C is for clueless, so I'm going to go with The Marriage of Figaro for this one.
I would have to agree, even though I also have no idea. It just sounds right.
Can I throw my answer in?
Sure.
I would actually like to tell these fellas The Marriage of Figaro is probably one of Mozart's most famous pieces.
Yeah, that's why I heard it before.
You would totally know.
Well, he said that wasn't the answer.
See, I
Yeah.
heard